And we are live, everyone. And in this special playoff edition, I brought along the list. And you know what happens when you're a whiner? You know what happens when you're a dirty SOB player? You know what happens when you take your stick and smack it over the back of Tom Kuhnackel, John Tortorella, Brandon Dubinsky, Matt Calvert? You just made the list.
Oh, yeah, Dan, we got that list is going to be full by the end of this month. I swear to God. We're just adding people left and right in all sports and all different fashions. So
everybody gets a chance.
All right, hey, guys, how are you? We're doing another Pens Pointers. It's been a while. Dan and I have had fun time trying to get scheduled together, but we've not missed hockey games. That is one thing we haven't missed. We might have missed these, but we haven't missed hockey games. So we're going to quickly talk about all 8 series. We'll finish on the Penguins. Because that's game 4 tonight, so we'll have to talk about that last. Dan, you said you wanted to start in the East. Let's start with the biggest surprise in the East.
Yes.
Toronto up 2-1 on the Capitals. What are your first thoughts on that?
I love it. You know why? Because I still think the Capitals win, but if it's going to be in 6 or 7, and if the Pens can close it, I'll say if, knock on wood, because I'm very superstitious. I won't say it till it happens, but if the Pens could get it done tonight, and you get plenty of time to rest, I think this is the most opportune way for the Penguins to be able to beat the Capitals, because I just think, with a weary, tired Capitals team going up against a well-rested Penguins team, don't you think that is the ideal scenario for the Pens to beat the Caps in a 6 or 7 game series?
Right, I agree. One of the first things that a lot of the hockey analysts are talking about, and even I looked at it when I did playoff brackets, was Pittsburgh's going to have to go through 2 big physical teams to start. And if they can get a 4-game sweep and give themselves a few days off while Washington continues to battle with Toronto, it gives them a chance to get some players a little healthier, get some of those bumps and bruises healed up, give some players time like Hagelin to maybe get back on the ice for the next round. So I agree. My biggest surprise, and I thought about this, I was really aggravated way back at the end of the regular season when Pittsburgh lost to Toronto in a game that we could have knocked them out of the playoffs. And I thought about it afterward, and I realized, you know what? I think Sullivan threw the game on purpose so that Toronto would get in, because he knew that of the 3 teams that could take that last spot, Toronto was going to have the best chance to do any damage against the Capitals, because it would have been either the New York Islanders, who were hobbling in, and Tampa Bay, who sold half their team midseason already, so they're missing everybody. Mm-hmm. So I think it was a smart move by him. I'm sure he knows he could probably beat Toronto, but on the other hand, he's looking at the scenario going, you know what, let's let them get in and let them play the Capitals in the first round and see what they do. And so far, if that's the case, he's done a really good job of playing that hand, because Toronto, to my surprise, is up 2-1. I'm glad they're driving these games to overtime too.
Good. Again, it further reinforces the fact that the Caps will be tired, because they gotta win now 3. So we'll see.
True. So we'll jump to the next series here. We'll go Boston-Ottawa, Dan. The end of the Boston-Ottawa game was an overtime victory on a play that was just, and I mean by just, a hair onside last night. What do you think of that series and how that's turning out?
I haven't been paying, the series I've been watching the most have been Caps, Maple Leafs, Penguins, Jackets, Hawks, Preds. Those have been the ones that I've been focused on. So I haven't really paid too much attention to this one. I am picking Boston to beat Ottawa. So I don't know where you stand on that, but I could see this one going 6 or 7, just from the way that it's been very close. The first game was 2-1 Boston, then 4-3 Ottawa, then another 4-3 in OT. So just looking at the nature of this one, I could definitely see Boston getting the game 4 win, and then from there it's just really a toss-up.
Yeah, this was one of the series I was really looking at and going, this is probably going to go to 7. Both teams very physical. Both teams have offensive capabilities that they could turn it on and get goals like we've seen, not to the extent that the Penguins can do, but with regard to one another, that it would be a tight matchup. I said Boston simply because since the firing of the coach, they've done a spectacular job, just kind of like how the Penguins did last season. They've really propelled themselves into the playoffs. Ottawa's a little beat up coming into the playoffs, and I just thought out of the 2, that Boston would have the better chance to get out of that round and end up moving on in maybe 6 or 7, like you said. So they're down in the series right now, but I know Boston is a very tough, gritty fighter team, and they'll probably even start to slow these games down and get those down to 2-1 games. which is more to their style. So we'll see what happens in that series. I'm not surprised that it is the way it is, though. I expected it to be a 2-1 either way at this point. Next one is New York and Montreal. I'm a little surprised, believe it or not. I really am a little surprised that Montreal is up in the series. I honestly thought that the New York Rangers were going to come in hot and take out the Montreal Canadiens quickly. They stole game 1, but haven't been able to perform well enough to take games 2 or 3 here. So they're in a hole 2-1. If they drop game 4, they're done. I mean, that's the way that's going to go. So I just know the pressure that would be on Lundqvist and the rest of the Rangers players is just like we saw when we took them out last year. They got embarrassed. They don't do well under pressure. They wouldn't be able to handle a 3-1 series deficit and turn it around. So big game 4 coming up for them. As that's it for the East, we'll go to the Penguins, of course, at the end. So let's jump over to the West. Dan, I want to know, what are you doing, man? What is up with Chicago? What is that? I mean, really, 2 shutouts and then blowing a lead that they established on the road. You got nothing. Do you think they're gonna get swept?
The Chicago Blackhawks will rest in peace. Was that over the top? Because that's what I feel.
No, that's
I have nothing. I have no answers. If they do, they deserve to lose. Because after watching that pitiful, disgusting, they're better than 5-0. That was bad. I watched that was. I didn't even care to tune in yesterday. I mean, I did, and I saw I went to bed saying, "Oh, they're up 2-0. I can't wait to watch the rest of this tomorrow." And then I turn on my phone. I'm like, they lost 3-2 in OT. You know what? Maybe it's time to make some moves and shake up the team. You know.
And it's really a shame because they had a phenomenal regular season out in the West.
They did. Just something. I don't know.
I don't know what it was. To get shut out twice against, and I mean, no disrespect to Nashville, but Pecorine. You get shut out twice? Really? You're an offensive powerhouse, just like the Penguins, and you get shut out twice at home.
Yeah, that was
something. And I saw Quenneville was making changes. I watched both games. He was making changes on the bench and shortening up players' shifts. They couldn't do anything.
Nothing. So he threw everything at
Nashville might be the Cinderella hockey team this year, but that is a shame to see such a good team like Chicago struggle so hard in the first round.
Yeah. I mean, if they could pull off the comeback of all comebacks, that would be great. I'd love to see.
The only thing I could think of was back in 2008, 2009 when we won the Stanley Cup. We did lose Game 5 against Detroit 5-0.
Yeah.
We did, and we turned around and won that series. That was a different series, and we weren't down 3-0. So, I mean, we've seen it done twice, but, I mean,
I know.
I don't know. I mean, the only thing you could really hope for is Game 4. They steal a win and then go home and take the momentum from the home crowd and make it 3-2. But I don't think they're going to be able to take it 4 in a row. They're a team that can win 4 in a row.
They can if they can turn this ship around. Which we've hit the iceberg. We're badly taking on. I mean, we're about ready to, with the Titanic. We're about to go under. I mean, the ship's about to.
Right. And I mean, we might see some drastic changes with them come Game 4, but in all honesty, I feel of any team that is in the whole 3-0 here that we'll talk about, there's one other series aside from Pittsburgh here. Of any team that's down 3-0, they're probably the team that would be able to win 4 in a row.
They can. I know they can. They just have to win that first game and then go from there.
They'll have to play it one game, one period at a time, to be honest.
Sure.
I mean, it's just going to have 20-minute segments, win every period. That's what it's going to be. And, I mean, maybe Nashville cracks a little under the pressure and the Hawks can take some advantage, but that's going to be a very, very tough hill to climb for them. So, speaking of teams down 3-0, Calgary blew it last night. I mean, literally. Up 4-1 at home, crowd going nuts, and you lose 5-4.
Oh, man.
That is – I'm sorry. That series is over. I don't care. That's a sweep. There's no way Calgary wins Game 4 after blowing a lead like that. There's just how do you have any momentum? There's nothing you can take away from that game. It's like, hey, we can use this and win game 4.
They needed that win because it was looking at these scores, it was close, 3-2, 3-2. If you would have won that game, it's 2-1 series. It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
But just like the Jackets, which we'll get into, they blew it, and that'll come back to haunt them.
Yeah, I agree on that one. That's a shame because Calgary. It's so weird to see them in the playoffs because we don't see them very often in the playoffs in this day and age. But it's going to be a quick out, is what I'm guessing on that one. Last series, St. Louis, Minnesota. That's exactly what I predicted. It's exactly what I predicted.
What a shocker for me! I mean,
really?
Yeah, I was picking the Wild. The way.
I was completely turned on that. I said, you know what? Minnesota's going in. Their record
flat though.
They were like at one point they were 2-9-1 in their last 13 games going into the end of the season. Meanwhile, St. Louis and their changes, I get it. It's Mike Yeo. It's not Hitchcock, but I mean, I'm sorry. St. Louis just looked a lot better walking into the matchup, and I said right off the bat it was a 5-game max series that St. Louis just dominates because Minnesota was in a tailspin going into the playoffs, and as we've seen, they're still in a tailspin.
Right.
I mean, I don't even think – I haven't watched much of that. I've just kind of caught the highlights, but from what I saw, Minnesota doesn't even look like they're there. They really don't.
I mean, man, it's crazy.
And some of the players are like, we're surprised we're down 3-0. I'm not.
The way you're playing, no.
The way you guys played in the last,
one goal in every game. That ain't gonna cut it.
Not in the playoffs. The only team that was able to do that was New York and Montreal, and that was a fluke that they stole game 1 in a shutout like that. And the second one I don't count because it's an empty netter, but that series is playing out exactly like I said. Maybe the Wild get one win, but I doubt it. I really do. I think it's going to be a 4-0, no doubt. But that's it out in the West. So we can see 3. Am I missing? Oh, sorry. San Jose and Edmonton. I almost forgot.
You're missing them.
Edmonton's up, right?
I'm picking Edmonton. That's my pick. I think they got the young upside. Just from looking at this, they won the last 2. Sharks, maybe they're getting a little tired. A little bit older team. Edmonton's the younger team. Think about this. What if we got a Crosby McDavid Stanley Cup final? Ooh.
The only team that would stonewall them, in all honesty, would have to be St. Louis. I feel like would be the team to kick them out. And that would be all the way, if I remember, if the bracket plays out the right way, that would be at the conference finals.
Yeah, it would.
If those two were to meet. And I feel like if any team would stonewall them, it would be St. Louis, just because at that point it would be a great run for Edmonton, but I think just for the first time in the playoffs, a rookie player, it's too much pressure for them, and they haven't seen enough playoff action to sit there and go, yeah, we can handle, how to play with a lead or how to play down. You know what I mean?
They got to get that experience, and they will. They're going to be a future, I think, cup contender. Definitely.
It was like when the Penguins lost the Stanley Cup in 2008. Yes, you got there, but you needed the experience to know how to handle those last couple games, and they learned it and applied it to the next season. So I think Edmonton, this might be a nice start for Edmonton Oilers. If they can keep some players in the offseason and pick up some nice moves, they could be a consistent playoff team for the next couple years.
Remind me of the 2007-08 Penguins, when the Penguins they had that young core, that nucleus, that young talent, and eventually we saw them grow and mature. Watch out for Edmonton. I think they'll be ruling the West soon.
Soon. And I did, and to your point, I did pick them to take the Sharks out. No disrespect to the Sharks, made the Cup Finals last year. The team almost to a T the same. A couple players changed, but I think just injuries and age are what's going to be their downfall. I really do. Last year was probably, in my opinion, their year to win, but they ran into Pittsburgh. I think Edmonton walks out of there with the series win, and we'll see a matchup. Who's that? Edmonton would face off against
Anaheim.
Oh, Anaheim. I even forgot. Anaheim might stonewall them, to be honest. The way Anaheim's playing.
Hey, they're playing really well.
There's a couple surprise teams.
They always seem to never get over to that next level, that next hurdle.
Right.
So
I agree. So that's it on the West End. Thank God. I almost missed a whole series. But let's go back to the series that matters for us as, Penguin fans. 3-0, Dan. I honestly don't think Tortorella's coming out to play game 4 to actually win the game. I really don't. I'm sorry. I think they have already accepted, and Sullivan said it, that nothing's inevitable. You have to earn everything.
Yes.
But in this stance, the way I see it is, Columbus knows there's no way we're beating Pittsburgh 4 times. There's no way. Maybe once. Maybe they'll make it 3-1 and make it respectable on their end to take some pride and win a home game for their fans. But I think Tortorella's coming out headhunting. I really do.
That's not right. That's damn shame, and he's a piece of crap for that.
And we've seen it in game 2 when the game got out of their way, that they immediately set him. And it's sad because I said it at the end of that when we scored that goal. I said, you know what? You better watch. There's going to be something on this face-off. And lo and behold, I wasn't wrong.
Well, as I've heard today, the league wants it. The league ain't doing anything to stop it. So the problem is we can complain all we want, but nothing's going to change. I hate to say it. One game suspension.
Yeah, what is that? That was a joke. It should have been 1 for the cross-check and then 1 for the elbow.
But again, that's what they want, that sense of unpredictability. And and it shows because why? They continue to allow stuff like this to happen.
Right.
And to me, it's kind of that's why hockey is where it's at in terms of popularity, because that kind of turns people off, I think. It's just like, what is this? This is garbage.
You have, we all know hockey is the sport where fighting is permitted currently in the league. But there's a difference between 2 guys dropping the gloves and squaring off versus a guy coming up and decking somebody for a dirty play.
Uncalled for. Absolutely. That could have been serious injury.
Yeah, and all I can remember is, it's been a decade. I don't remember what the guy's name was. Do you remember the player out in the West that I can't remember his name. I have to look it up. Went up and just sucker punched the guy in the back of the head, and he ended his career because he not only sucker punched him, but he hit his head off the ice.
Nice. And that's great.
And the league came down hard on that, and the league said, look, to the guy that hit him, he said, you're done. You're out. They kicked him out of the league. And that could have been a same scenario here. Luckily, Kuhnhackl kind of walked off smiling, but
sure,
the cross-check probably wouldn't have been bad. They've all been cross-checked. But that elbow with his head down could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and then he punched him again.
Yeah. So I think, honestly, that Columbus knows that their run is probably going to be over. Like I said, you can't guarantee anything, especially with the way the playoffs have panned out with Chicago, the way that's worked out. You can't guarantee anything. But
nope.
If I'm a betting man, I'm going to sit there and go, Columbus is going to come out headhunting tonight. They're not going to be concerned with the score. They're going to be concerned with taking out Penguin players because that's just the way Tortorella is. That's the way that team is. They've honestly stolen some pages from Philadelphia, and they're trying to use it against them, and it's not working just because
they aren't because
Sullivan has such a strong command of his team. And I noticed it in Game 3 on the 4th goal that tied the game in the late stages of the 3rd. Ian Cole came over and was having a talk with Sullivan on the bench. Now, mind you, Sullivan let Ian Cole explain, why was he where he was and why did that play happen. But at the end of that play, Sullivan looks at him with his hand shaking like mine is, and he goes, I don't care. I need you there. And he's the
Irishman. He's tough.
Right. And Bob Airy made the point. He said, look, I know he took it as, I know what you're thinking, but this is how it is. And I don't care what you think, but this is where I need you to be. This is how it is. This is the playoffs. So he's got a great command. And every time you hear in the post game, all the players say the same thing. Play the game the right way. We play between the whistles. He has such a strong command on those guys. And think about it. It's not easy to sit there and get cross-checked in the back and not want to turn around and hit the guy. But he has them almost trained to a T that they don't do it. They just go away from it. So, I mean, give Sullivan some props. This is a coach that I feel the Penguins have needed for a while. One to kind of rattle them, rally the guys in, because as we've seen before, Malkin's one of those players that if you really get in his head, he becomes one of those players that just becomes uncontrollable on the ice. And Sullivan's done a good job of reeling him in.
Yes, and taking that rage and using it. Don't get mad at these other guys and take it out on them. You know how you take it out? You score a goal.
Right.
That's exactly
right. And that is a good point. And we're not going to talk about goalies because it's irrelevant. I've just heard enough of it. I mean, I don't care. At this point, I mean, I'm honest. I mean, I know who I want in net, and we all know I'm a Fleury fan, but the point is I don't care who's in the net. I just
I like
want to
them
win.
both.
I just want to win.
That's why you kept both of them.
I don't care if Tristan Jarry has to go into play a game. I really don't. I just want him to win. And it's a shame that Matt Murray got hurt. And
that sucks.
It's a double-edged sword because on one hand I'm sitting there going, hey, yeah, Fleury can play. But on the other hand, I'm sitting there going, oh, shit. If Fleury screws up, we don't have a backup. We have a rookie, like a real true rookie that hasn't played an actual – I don't care what anybody says. That game against the Rangers was basically watching the farm teams play. So that's not NHL experience in any way. And plus, it's not playoff experience. So that's the thing we're going to be holding our breath on here. Since Matt Murray's out indefinitely, you don't really have a backup if Fleury has a bad night. We just kind of have to suck it up.
Sure.
And
so far, Mark's good.
Yeah, and I'll give him credit. You know, aside from the goal he let up 11 seconds in, I don't know if he still thought he was in warm-ups, but other than that, I mean, he did prevent them. He prevented them from getting the next goal in that last game so that the Penguins could stay in it. And
use your head, but I don't want to use my head.
That was hysterical, and I don't understand. He was laughing. He was laughing on the ice.
Look at him, Snaggy.
How can you laugh? How can you laugh? You almost just lost the game.
I was cracking up. Like,
I was losing it, but I was like, holy crap, he's laughing.
He's sick.
Yeah, game four will be interesting. Like I said, it depends on what Columbus team we see. We could see either Columbus coming out to play with pride and win a home game for their fans, which I highly doubt. I really do. Or we're going to see Jesus Christ.
That's pathetic.
Or we're going to see the headhunting. I really think we're going to see headhunting tonight, and I hope the Penguins are ready for that kind of game.
So if, knock on wood, the Penguins win, if they win, immediately put that camera on Tortorella. I want to see his reaction.
Oh my God, his face when they tied the game because his player got hit with the puck was hysterical. It's not life-threatening. You guys couldn't get possession of the puck. All you had to do was ice the puck.
But the Penguins won. Wait, I thought they won. Wait, I'm whining. Wait, I'm a hypocrite? Okay.
Oh, is that how that works?
He's gutless. He can dish it out, but he can't take any of it back. So he's a gutless person. That's what he is. Gutless.
Right. Yep. I agree. So, like I said, I'm hopeful we get a sweep, but I'm not going to throw out the fact that we could lose game 4. I think in terms of how Sullivan wants to play, the way he's seen Tortorella try to take his team out, he's going to want to bury them on the road. He'll want to just rub it in his face that we swept you and we took you out on your home ice. So I think Sullivan's going to bring the offense tonight and try to stack it up. And I guarantee you, if this game gets out of hand, he won't care if he puts up 7 goals. Guarantee you he won't care. He'll just keep piling it on him. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be – I wouldn't be surprised if we see a fight. I really wouldn't. We might see a fight tonight.
We'll see.
But we'll see. Sestito's not in. You know, Mr. 2 right feet. Can't skate for crap, but, man, he can hit.
So, that's great.
All right, Dan, let's go get ready to watch this game.
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Playoff series. We'll see what happens. We'll have to figure it out when we're going to hang out again. Maybe we'll wait till first round's over, and we'll start talking second round matchups. But hopefully we can get schedules together. This was what, almost a month?
It's worked out. Hey, we got it. We got it done.
We got it done, though. We got it done. So everybody, let's go enjoy the puck drop. Dan, throw it out to your channel like you always do.
Absolutely. I just did a live Raw review on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/DanielGuys412 for all my latest thoughts on pro wrestling and WWE. So go over there, check it out, and be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. So thanks again for having me on.
Yeah. One lesson I learned, everybody, before we leave: gravity always wins. And if you want to know what that means, you're gonna have to watch Dan's video.
And I'll have to send you that clip. I'll send you that clip of the ring imploding. It was really cool. It was great.
All righty, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy Game 4, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take care.
Go Pats!